Good evening. In today's world of education and everything that goes into it, we know that AI exists. We can see it in such things as ChatGPT, Gemini, and even Google is now using AI when we ask it a question. But there's also AI in the background, behind the scenes, where we don't see it. AI is still working. When we're bringing it into today's classroom, we need to think about the ethical considerations and the strategies that we as educators can use for the ethical practices. Starting with ethical considerations, first we need to think about bias. We know that AI algorithms are being trained on data and being used on programs that reflect existing society biases that we have today. AI programs can perpetuate those biases and would lead to unfair or discriminatory outcomes for certain groups of people, most notably those students in low income or marginalized communities. For example, if we think about the AI system that's being used for predicting college success, it might unfairly penalize a student who comes from a low income background compared to those students who come from affluent backgrounds. As educators, this would fit into our NELP Standard 5, which tells us that as educators, we need to avoid those situations that could be harmful to students. And the ISTE Standard 3.1.c, we need to be able to promote digital citizenship and the responsible use of technology with our students. We also need to be accountable when using AI systems in education. We need to be able to have a clear line of responsibility. We need to know who is accountable if an AI system makes a mistake or if it is harmful to educate to the student. Is it the developer? Is it the school? Is it the individual educator? In education, we need to make clear accountability mechanisms to ensure the ethical use of any AI program. Our standards, we look at the NELP Standard 5, which tells us that as an educator, I am the one who is responsible for the actions in my classroom. I need to be responsible for what I do with my students. Then, with ITSE Standard 3.2.c, we also need to be able to evaluate the effectiveness of the technology that we implement. That includes the AI. The second part we need to discuss are the strategies for ensuring ethical practices. One of the first things that we would do is to know the use of explainable AI. And that would be sure that it could be explained in a way that makes sense to everyone involved. If we can explain it to families, we must make sure they understand what we are talking about, and in turn, we will understand it as well. By doing that, we would be able to clearly communicate with students, parents, and other educators how AI is being used in the education system. With that, I understand that this would fit NELP Standard 5 by being completely open and honest about what's going on with using AI in school. For the ISTE Standard 3.2.c, it would allow us to again communicate why the technology is being used to everybody involved. The final part of this process would be to have stakeholder engagement to build the trust. To build trust, we must engage parents, staff, and students in the use of AI, being careful to acknowledge so as not to make it scary for them. We must help them understand how it's being used. This would involve holding public forums, providing educational materials, and soliciting the feedback from all the stakeholders that are involved in the education process. Again, we would address these concerns openly and honestly with everybody involved. This would fit NELP Standard 5 in the fact that as an educator, I would be able to collaborate with families and the community. For ISTE Standard 3.2.c, we're going to be building that consensus for support for the vision of using AI in our schools. In conclusion, we know that AI is here to stay, but working together, we will be able to help all students, no matter their background, be successful in school and have the same opportunities. Thank you for watching.